All right, welcome back, everybody. It has been a while. Things have changed, hopefully for the better, And before I say anything else, I just want to say, if you are listening to this on a podcast that you downloaded, there's a big, I guess, surprise for you. It's a change. Go to YouTube and type in Learn English 232 and you will see this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Click like and write a comment. I'll definitely get back to you. And if you're watching on YouTube, welcome, Ad. Hopefully this is a new and exciting thing.
Well, at least we're pretty excited about it. It's nice to be on video. We're actually watching ourselves on my laptop right now, and I think we look okay. It's a little bit dark, maybe, but hopefully after some edits, it'll look a bit better.
Yeah, we're just cooling off. We're in Ontario, Canada, Niagara Falls. This is where we both live. We have houses that are about 3 kilometers apart from each other. And I'm over here in Ad's basement, and we just finished a game of ping pong. And maybe, Ad, you can show a photo right now of the table that's beside us just to give everybody a feel of what's going on.
Yeah, I'll show that. I guess sometime we'll show a video of that too. Unfortunately, Andrew had a bit of a difficult time today, so I'm sure he's glad that wasn't videotaped.
I wasn't going to mention that, but that's true. I got a little bit nervous for some reason, which often happens, Ad. So I think last year, Ad, if I remember correctly, about a year ago, we made an audio podcast about the virus. And at that time, we didn't even really know for sure that it was going to spread around the world and become this huge thing. We just sort of hoped it wouldn't. And that's what the dialogue today is about. It sure did, and it affected a lot, and so much sadness and terrible things happen to so many people. Plus, even if something didn't happen specifically to you or your family, hopefully it didn't. At best, it was a boring year with a lot of lockdowns, and it was hard to you couldn't travel really, and hard to visit anybody, and just life was disrupted. And who would have thought?
Yeah, a pretty terrible year. And I think last podcast we did, we were excited to do a fresh start at the start of the year to get moving on the podcast again. And then we couldn't even see each other for quite a while because of all the lockdowns.
Yeah, here in Canada, it was actually illegal for a while in different provinces to meet anybody that you didn't live with. So, for quite a while, Ad and I couldn't even play ping pong unless we wanted to pay a ticket to the police. It was like $800.
I'm not sure if we would have gotten caught, but who knows? I'm glad we didn't. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to pay that fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, they didn't really enforce it, but anyway, we were being nice and following the rules. Plus, we didn't want to get the virus. I have a young kid at home. Our parents don't want to get it. I don't want to get it.
I certainly don't want to get it, so hopefully we're not going to do a a podcast later about how we did get it and what happened.
Yeah, and hopefully in this new series we can do both the video and audio. We hope everybody checks out the video though, and it's not just going to be us sitting in the basement. Sometimes it will, but we will also show where we live, what we do, and you can sort of start to see what is going on in our lives here, and there's a lot of good English to be learned from it, cultural stuff, and hopefully some entertainment as well.
I think that sounds like a great idea, and I haven't said this for a long time, but we may as well jump right into the dialogue.
That's a good idea. Okay, so you first, now you can actually see sort of how this looked, in case you were ever wondering. Go ahead, Ed.
What's new, Andy?
Not much, Ad. It's been a pretty uneventful year. I'm waiting to get my shot and put this whole thing behind us.
Me too. The lockdowns have been tough to deal with. I hope we are pretty much done with the lockdowns at least.
Me too, but I'm afraid we might get another one. The number of cases are increasing again, as is the positivity rate. we need to get a lot more people vaccinated so that we can get closer to herd immunity.
It's funny that the term lockdown really wasn't really part of our vernacular a year ago. Mandatory masks were unthinkable as well.
Right on, Ad. So that was the short but sweet dialogue. There's actually one term that I didn't highlight, but I'll mention that. But anyway, first term, Ad. This is a good one. Uneventful. And this is a way, you can probably guess what it means, but it's a term that I don't hear a lot of non-native speakers use, and they should, if you don't already. And it's a common way of saying that a time period was boring, or at least not much worthwhile, not much worth mentioning happened, is probably a better way of saying it. So I could say last summer was relaxing but pretty uneventful. We just stayed at the cottage and relaxed by the lake. So if you say something's uneventful, there's not much to say about it, not many things going on.
Yeah, it was pretty uneventful for us, but I guess that could be better than the alternative. A lot of people did have some tragedies and things that happened, so hopefully you weren't in that camp, but if you were, I'm sorry about that, and hopefully you can move on at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Just very difficult for the whole planet going through this, but we're going to try to look on the bright side in this podcast. So the next one is, I said, I'm waiting for my shot. And this is how people in North America, the US and Canada, say to get your vaccine needle, to get the vaccine needle. And I've noticed from watching some stuff in the UK, they use jab. They get their jab over there, and we seem to get our shot over here.
Yeah, you could say something like, he made an appointment to get his shot tomorrow. I actually did watch the news yesterday, though, in Canada, and they've been using jab, or they at least did yesterday, and I hardly ever watch the news, so I was kind of surprised about that. For me, it's a kind of term, too. It makes me not really want to get a jab or a vaccine when you
Yeah, it's
think
kind of
about
like a
it.
stab. Maybe now they are copying. Well, the UK is doing a lot better with their vaccine rollout. Canada's been incredibly slow. That's another sad story. But maybe they're saying jab because they're kind of impressed with how the UK is doing it and starting to think, oh, maybe we better copy their language as well.
I guess so, but to me, that I don't think that'll speed anything up for me, at least. But I
I
guess
don't think they even notice that that's not the term we use.
I suppose that's true as well.
So, another interesting point. Lockdown. This is a relatively new term for describing governments imposing or forcing rules that restrict the freedoms people normally enjoy. So some countries had really strict lockdowns where they weren't allowed to leave their house at all. Other countries had much more lenient ones when only certain things were prohibited. In Canada, we were kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, we did lockdown, but we had a lot of different color codes of what a lockdown even meant. So sometimes you could go to some stores, but not others. And sometimes you couldn't even visit someone's house. So they had a lot of different rules at different times.
But you were always allowed to go outside and exercise if you wanted to. And some places didn't even allow for that. The problem with here, though, is it was pretty strict, but we still had a lot of cases. So it just made a really difficult year. And I don't know how well it worked, so there's nothing to brag about.
Well, no, that's the thing. It wasn't really a lockdown here. We used the word, but we certainly, people were certainly on the highways and everything. I remember when it was supposed to be a lockdown, and I had to go somewhere for an emergency, but the highways were pretty packed. So to me, that's not really a lockdown.
They tried to make the perfect balance of having enough freedoms and not shutting too much down and not getting many cases, but well, it didn't work very well, sadly.
Well, either way, it was pretty tough to deal with, which is the next one. And this is a common phrase that means that something is very difficult or frustrating. It is difficult to handle. I could say something like, she hates working for her new boss. He gets angry all the time and is really tough to deal with.
Yeah, it's a good phrase. Just it's hard to handle, tough to deal with. this whole thing was pretty tough to deal with. The one phrase that I didn't mention before that I should have highlighted was put the whole thing behind us. And if you put something behind you, it kind of means you forget about it and don't deal with it anymore, like an event. So hopefully we can put the whole virus thing behind us and move on. And in a year from now or less, this isn't going to be an all-consuming thing where that's all anybody thinks about. Hopefully we get back to normal.
I agree. We did a podcast last year. Hopefully, this one won't be our last of this year, and then we have to do another one next year to talk about what a bad year this one was.
Yeah, and ironically, the podcast, as you can tell, was about that to some extent because we might get another lockdown because we're in a third wave right now, which is unbelievable because of the UK variant and these other variants. They spread more easily and people are sick of it. They call it some kind of fatigue, I forget the word, but where you've been doing this for a year, so they're not as scared and life's kind of going on and the virus is spreading. We're getting some vaccines, but it's kind of too little too late, and it's difficult.
It's pretty brutal, but anyway, I think everyone's probably even tired of talking about the pandemic. I certainly am.
Yeah, it's not going to be the only thing we're talking about. That's for sure coming up. Positivity rate is the percentage of positive test cases. So if 100 people got a test for the disease and only 4%, or only 4 actually got the disease, the positivity rate is 4%, and that's just a term they use all the time on the news, the positivity rate. So now the cases are going up, but the positivity rate is going up even more because I think more young people are getting it and they're not even bothering to get tested. So it's probably worse than it even looks.
Yeah, when your symptoms aren't that bad, you're probably not going to want to bother going to the hospital and getting a nose swab. I guess I don't know if I would want to get one right away, to be honest.
Especially if you already know what it is, because what are they even going to do? But anyway, that's what's going on here. And hopefully if we get enough vaccines soon, we will get herd immunity. And this is a really good term in general. And it is, well, a herd is a group of animals, kind of mammals, cows, elephants. And herd or immunity means if you're immune from something, it means you can't catch a disease. So herd immunity is kind of like, imagine a disease is going through a group of cows and enough cows get sick that the disease can't spread anymore, because if you already got the disease, you can't get it again. Then once a certain percentage of cows have the disease, then it kind of dies out because there's not many new ones to get it. And this is what happens. Somehow they call people a herd in this case, and if enough people, a high enough percentage, get it, then that's it. The disease is supposed to go away, but it's got to be high because this is contagious. It spreads easily. So this is like 75% or more need to be vaccinated, probably way more, to get herd immunity here.
Yeah, that is a pretty high number. You think about, a lot of people have to get vaccinated or at least have had the disease before. So that's a pretty high number to reach that, so it doesn't even spread. It seems like that's a pretty high number, but I guess that's what it is. So it is what it is.
Even more, and the thing is now with the variants, the mutations, they don't even all work on those. So we won't even really know 100% until we're out of it, to be honest, sadly. Anyway, next one, vernacular. What is that, Ed?
Well, it just basically means vocabulary. And if a new word comes into existence, then it becomes part of the vernacular. And I guess it's a good time to do a podcast for new English learning words, because there are new words to put in your vernacular.
Like even AI is relatively new in the vernacular, something like that. We didn't talk about it that much 10 years ago, although it was there. but just new words coming into existence, like kind of what you're able to choose. Last one, add mandatory. Good word, annoying when something is, and it means if you're forced to do something even if you don't want to. So I could say it's not mandatory to get a vaccine, but most health experts recommend it. So you don't have to, you won't go to jail, you won't get you won't pay a fine to the police, but so it's not mandatory, you're just sort of, it's recommended.
Yeah, a lot of even the lockdowns here weren't 100% mandatory, but you're supposed to do it if you're part of the country and you want to help everybody not get sick.
Yeah, so much politics of this whole thing too. I don't even want to get into all of that, but some people thought it should have been more strict. Some people thought it should have been nothing. But I think everybody at the end of the day was just really stressed, myself included, that they were just angry kind of with everything.
Yeah, I mean, of course, everyone really wants it to open up, but would they want it to open up if everyone got sick and more people were dying? Probably not. It's just hard to know what would really happen.
Yes, that is true. But one thing we did learn is that the world was unprepared for this. And, well, I guess it was impressive that they made a vaccine quickly and teamed up on that, but almost nothing else was impressive. Finding it early, sharing the information, getting everybody to not spread it around the world was kind of a disaster.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to go down in the history books as an impressive time in history.
In countries like here, Canada, we learned that we rely on other countries too much. We couldn't make anything. So we couldn't make masks. We couldn't make vaccines here. We're just importing them. So if countries don't have enough or they don't want to ship them anymore, then we're kind of at the back of the line. So we need to become a little more independent and less reliant. That's the same thing, just a little bit less pathetic.
Absolutely. And hopefully we learned something. And I would say hopefully you guys learned something here. And obviously, as Andrew said at the start, like and subscribe if you liked it. Even if you didn't, write a comment and then like and subscribe because we'll make them better.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you want the incentive to keep going, you gotta say something in the video. So hopefully you love this one. More coming soon. Nice to be back on the microphones and the video now. And learn English 232. Don't forget that. Learn English 232 because now we're back in Canada, so we gotta change up the brand a little bit.
Yeah, we're catering to all groups now. We don't want to play favorites. And we will see you next time, hopefully, though.
Very soon.